generative AI is notorious for hallucinating and giving dodgy responses. So how can you design around this? What should you do knowing that there are sometimes going to be bad responses?
Yeah, it's at this stage in the game, it's make sure that, look, bad responses aren't always bad unless there's consequences, right? So if somebody says, hey, can I get a free flight? And it says, yes, that's bad. You don't want that to happen. So you talk about pricing questions. This is one of the classic ways that we work with customers to kind of orchestrate around it is, oh, this is a pricing question. We're not going to go to generative. We're going to do sort of old school Q&A on pricing, and we're going to guide them through a path that's very deterministic. But if the question is more around, what kind of activities could I do on the plane with kids? Yeah, it's fine, right? Little hallucination isn't going to hurt anything, a little, which it would. I mean, a lot of that alignment's already done for us, so we don't have to worry about it suggesting unrisky activities. But something like that, go to generative. It's going to be great. And if it gets it a little wrong, no biggie.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you're going to mix a large language model chatbot with something that's more traditional and go through specific branches. Can you tell me a bit more about how that works? So how do you combine the two? Is it seamless? That is, can you make it seamless for the user, or what's the experience there?
So a lot of people don't realize that behind ChatGPT, there's actually multiple models. And at the front of it, there's like a classifier, which means it's determining what kinds of questions it's being asked and then determining what model to go to. So now imagine that not only is it determining what models to go to, but it may not be going to a generative model at all. It might just go to a Q&A, like a vector database. It may just go to a regular search database. It may go to Salesforce or some other structured data place. So we call it omnidata. Having data in different places, and then this front classifier, which is that what type of question is this? And then based on the type of question, you determine whether generative is right or wrong. And so this orchestration layer is sort of the critical component of, I think of the whole solution. When this whole thing started for me, it all started with pre-Siri, and it was a DARPA project, and I won't get into that and bore everybody, but as soon as Siri came out, it became clear to me, but surprising to me, that this was going to be used in homes first. I thought when this came out, it was going to be used in businesses. It makes so much more sense to automate your business than your house. And I think that the smart speaker was an interesting way that it emerged. I still am surprised that that's the way that this emerged, was as a speaker. I understand it. It was a voice activated speaker. It was like an evolution of the clapper, clap on, clap off. Like, oh, now I could just talk to it. But I always thought that this stuff made so much more sense to answer questions that were business related. To turn on and off the lights at a business makes more sense than in your house. And so when you look at the structure behind these super bots, or whatever you want to call these agents, right? These intelligent agents, whether it's Siri, Alexa, or Google Home, you'll see that there's a vast orchestration layer, orchestrating skills, orchestrating knowledge, allowing multiple end users to contribute skills to the ecosystem. And this was pre-generative, right? So you plug generative into an already existing orchestration engine, and now you have like jet fuel, right? And so I think companies are kind of coming in backwards. So they're starting with generative, but not that framework and that cognitive architecture that would allow you to have that agent, that then you plug it into a generative for certain skills. And so I think that's the part that's missing. If you remember the early days, you would ask it questions to be like, I don't know. That's where generative can now accelerate the value of it, because now it does know. But still, all those skills, turn on the lights, that still requires the deterministic aspect. So that cognitive bit, is still really, really key. And that's why the company I started set out to offer a agent for businesses. So you can create your own Siri or your own Alexa. It's the tools that Siri and Alexa use behind the scenes